What's up? Good morning, party people in the house. I'm back. I'm live. No more tape, pre-tape shows. I'm back. I'm live. It's on a Tuesday, February 24th. No Jason Sukamel here today. I got back from Florida last night. We have much to discuss. Oh, they got your uncle. Oh, they caught your uncle slipping in Florida. And they got me for my papers. I'll tell you that story, how they caught your uncle slipping. It's okay. We'll get into that story as well. And then, but Sark addressed the media yesterday. I had a lot to discuss. I've been kind of going back through everything, through some of the transcripts and reading and listening to the audio. So I'm going to unpack it. I want to spend the next couple of days unpacking everything. By the way, I should be live, all the way live for a while. I don't have any other travel plans until the summer, so y'all should have here in full effect for a while. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. It's good to see everybody back. Thievery, Money B, my main man, Cora, Chris Bennett's in the house, and I'm sure everybody else is joining in soon. And yeah, Money B. It wasn't about letting see him sweat. They caught Unc slipping. They got your Unc at a Walmart. They caught me slipping at a Walmart. They stuck me for my papers. I'll tell you what happened there. So anyway, Sark addressed the media. So I was down in Florida. My son had a tournament down there at IMG Academy down there in Bradenton. If you haven't been to, incredible. I mean, just incredible facility that they got going on down there. It's just massive, all kinds of stuff, right? Beautiful place. So I was down there, and at that moment, good morning, Darian. So when I'm down in Florida, UT sends out a press release saying that Sark is going to be addressing the media on Monday. I'm like, well, I know where I'm not going to be. So I unfortunately ended up missing it. Right. Hold on. Let me tweet this out. Let me tweet this out real quick. And I ended up missing it. But I was able to kind of go back, and I was able to really. The one thing I want to focus in on is the kind of the conversation that we've been having for a lot of the off season, right? And it really centered around the offensive line. And us, because we really I feel like all of us believe like the difference of the season, of what's going to make or break this year, probably is going to happen up front, right? And we know, for those of you who follow the show all the time, and for those of y'all just listening for the first time, if y'all listen for the first time, thank you for tuning in. We know Texas really tried to get and upgrade that offensive line. They really tried to get guys in the transfer portal. They really tried to upgrade the offensive line. They went after several guys. They didn't get a lot of the guys that they wanted, but they did end up getting a couple of guys that we're now hoping will be able to help this line and really kind of be a little bit stronger than they were last year, and so we kind of have to look at it. We kind of had to tell ourselves, okay, if Texas is talented in all these other positions, if the offensive line is just a C plus level, maybe that's enough if they got A's and B's everywhere else. Good morning to you, Stephanie. Stephanie, I came home late last night. I saw your garage door was open. I hope you closed it. Anyway, Stephanie lives, her and her husband live probably like 2 blocks away from me. But anyway, just random thoughts, right? So Sark started talking about, so he was asked by your friend, Kirk Bowles, asked about the offensive line. And again, this is going to be something that we're going to be monitoring all throughout, winter conditioning, spring, ball. We'll get into some of the other things. And this is going to be a thing we monitor, training camp and then throughout the entire season. And the question really becomes like, okay, what is that going to look like? So it's interesting because he was asked what the line looked like. So I'm going to put Sark what he said. Y'all are so funny. I'm going to put what he said on the screen. We're going to kind of unpack it a little bit. Y'all so funny. I'm glad to be back.
Steve,
So
you
let's go
said
here.
you were going to make the offensive line a priority in
And
the
that's your bro,
offseason.
Kurt Bowles.
Do you feel like you fixed any issues there in the portal and recruiting? And are there more additions possible?
No, I feel very good about the additions of Melvin. I feel that the really good additions about Dylan, about Jonte, about Lawrence. I feel good about the young players that have come into our program already. I feel really good about the guys coming off of injury. I feel really good about Andre Kojo coming back. And so
I think I'll start there, right? Overall, Sark says he feels pretty good. I think usually that ends up being, probably kind of catch his best friend. Y'all are so funny. I missed y'all. It's interesting to hear because now we know, okay, in February, Sark said, I feel good. I feel good about the offensive line, the new additions. I feel good, and not the music group. Candy girl. Now that's an old school. Only Green Lantern may have gotten that one if he's watching it. He feels good about the young guys, which it's kind of hard for those young guys to play. He feels good about everybody. So overall, Sark is telling us in February, feel pretty good about the offensive line. Like I feel pretty good where we're at, and that's interesting because I think a lot of us have a little bit of trepidation about where the offensive line is and what this thing is going to look like. So it's really interesting for him to start off by saying, "Hey, no. I know what y'all talking about. I feel good about where everything is at." I'm like, "Okay, Sark, you feel good? Okay, you feel good. Continue."
I feel very comfortable with that group.
Again, I feel good. I feel comfortable. It's the key words. I'm listening. I'm gonna put up what I'm gonna pick up what you're putting down, Sark. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I got it. Let's go.
And I think probably the bigger picture and the bigger issue, it's one thing just to look at the five guys. I think it's the totality of what we're doing around them as well.
And I think this is the key pivot. Good morning to you, Tex Blonde. I think this is the key pivot for Sark. And I think this is how what he's about to say probably ends up shaping what we think about the offensive line in the future, because now what he's going to tell us and get into is the line is one thing, but if you look at what we put around the line, that might be able to hide any potential weaknesses that they may potentially have. Nate, I know, Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. When you dial my baby's number, I get a click every time. Okay, let's go.
I think everybody thinks we got to fix the run game. Okay, get a better offensive line. Well, part of that's true, but Trevor Griesby's a hell of a football player. Brandon Baker's a hell of a football player. Connor Robertson, I have a ton of respect for his resiliency to get to this point of his career and the way he played at the end of the year. Now, how can we fill in the rest up front? How can we put some runners behind them that you're never going to block runs perfectly, but how do you make a guy miss to create 5, 6, 8, 10, 50, 80-yard runs? How can you put...
Now, that part, totally agree with Sark, right? That part, I think last year might be the least explosive backfield I think Sark's ever had. Not at Texas. I just think in general. You go back to the Washington days and, Chris Polk and stuff like, he's never had really a backfield that didn't have explosive and it didn't have explosiveness. And so that was always the thing with the running backs, right? The question was always, okay, not every hold is going to be perfect, right? But hey, can these guys make a guy miss too? Like, remember when we watched that Florida game last year? How could any one of us forget, right? But remember that where we saw their running back, one of the reasons why we were so excited about the potential of him coming here, because the one thing we noticed about him was like that guy makes guys miss, right? I can't remember his name for some odd reason. I think I tried to block it out because he didn't come here. Catch doesn't know the whole story. Catch only knows bits and pieces of the story. I'll tell you the full story what happened and how I was able to get back to Austin without having identification too. So that becomes the thing is, and I think that what Sark is trying to say is, hey, if I got explosive guys and I've got guys who can make guys miss, like, like Ralik and Hollywood, you know what? That can hide some of the sins of the offensive line. And I think we're saying, like I said, I'm picking up what he's putting down. I'm getting to where he's at. I get his mindset.
Weapons on the perimeter that require defensive attention to defend against people on the perimeter.
Yes.
And then how do you utilize the quarterback in a way to where we have balance to what we do? And so it wasn't just about those 5 guys or those 8 guys or those 10 guys. It was, yes, there was focus on them, but it was also what was going on around them. It was bringing in a real C area blocking tight end. And there was a lot of things I think that we did that hopefully we reap the benefits of down the road. We'll see. But again, it wasn't just them, but I do think we, again, we're strategic in what we did with the people that we brought in from a mentality standpoint. And I'll say this too, not even just about the offensive line. You're never going to hit perfect. Just like in recruiting, you're never going to hit 100%. Every kid you bring in is a great contributor on the field, a really good asset off the field. You're always going to have bumps in the road. But I think the same idea that we've used in recruiting, we used in the portal this year. We didn't sacrifice character for talent when we went into the transfer portal. And I think the guys that we've brought in are really good individuals. They're hardworking. They're team players. We did our due diligence on that. We got in front of it better than we ever have. But these guys have connected much sooner and much better with our team than we have previously. Now, part of that is the players we brought in, but I think part of that is our own roster, our own players recognizing the value in the players that we're bringing in the portal and bringing them in and welcoming them in and showing them the way, understanding that the better we are as a team, the better it's going to be for us individually. And so
I think what Sark is saying is this. My interpretation of it is, hey, we got Arch, we got Cam Coleman, right? We got Ryan Wingo, we got Ralik, we got Hollywood Smothers, right? We got the tight end that we brought in. Like, we've got talent. We're going to have, and of course, we're going to have a good defense. If they're not that great, well, I think these guys will be able to make up for it. That's what I take it as. That's exactly what it's as, because we know everybody else, wide receivers, probably put them at a kind of A level, right? You can go A+, A-, right? You put the running backs, probably put them kind of at an A level. Again, you go plus or minus right there. Tight ends, I don't know where you put that at. That grade might be, maybe that's a C+, B-ish kind of thing. And so in the quarterback, you put at an A level, right? Listen, I would put him at an A level. I don't know where you guys would put him. So if you say to yourself, okay, we're good overall, and now we're not going to be perfect in this area. Well, each team every year is going to have a weakness. Each team every year is going to have some sort of deficiency, right? That's going to happen. So if he's saying like, hey, this might be, good morning, Voodoo, this might be our weakness. I got contacts in now, by the way. I'm messing around with these things. I got these contacts that help me see here, near, but everywhere else. So I don't know. I'm messing with them, but I kind of like them. I kind of like a little bit of not the glasses on my face. I think it makes me look a little bit younger, quite honest with you. Anyway, so he's saying like, hey, we might be great in other areas. Hopefully we're okay here. Every team's got deficiencies. There's might be out deficiencies, but I feel like I can cover it up. Okay, cool. Let's do it, Sark.
And I think it's all played a part. Again, we're early on. And so we'll see how that goes. And there's going to be growing pains, and I understand all that. But again, I think we're further along in the process than we've been, and we understand the process better now than we have in previous years.
Are you done there? The line?
It was that, and he's your boy Kurt's follow up is like, hey, were you guys done?
It's done because the portal's done. That was a huge shift. Not having the spring portal window, we had to be very aggressive in the first window. And In the SEC, it was different because we had the first window where you could recruit everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The second window, we couldn't recruit players from the SEC even if they went in because of the interconference transfer rule. So I think understanding that, we were very aggressive in what we were trying to accomplish, but looking at the totality of the roster and not being so narrow-minded and it was O-line or bust, because we had other needs that we had to take care of too on our roster that I thought we did a nice job with. And so in the end, yeah, I would imagine we're done. I mean, unless something crazy happens, I would imagine we're done.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned Lawrence earlier when we talked about the offensive line.
By the way, this is now a question about Lawrence Seymour as relates to the offensive line, because you guys should. What's wrong? I'm too grown for some burnt orange colored contacts, and that would be a weird ass show, quite honest with you. Because then I look like a demon of some sorts, and my mom would just be throwing anointing oil all over me and praying more than no. Then she would freak out. There's the question as relates to Lawrence Seymour, because he's still applying for that waiver to be able to play this season, right? So anyway, there's another follow-up question I thought was interesting as relates to the offensive line.
Do you have an idea on where things might stand with his waiver, as well as confidence on whether he'll be on the field in the fall or not?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing, he had a waiver submitted when we signed him. The NCAA has allowed us to resubmit that waiver, I think with some new information in a way that makes this case really compelling. Nothing has been decided yet, so I'm hesitant to say I'm confident in much, but I do think that with us having the opportunity to submit that waiver with our people, with some of the information Lawrence was able to supply us and some of those of the previous universities that he was at, we'll see where it goes, but we haven't gotten anything back yet.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
And by the way, that was CJ Vogel. I was blanking on his name for a second. I was like, damn, who the hell is that? I was like, oh, CJ. That was CJ. Good young man too, by the way. I always thought, for me, as relates to bringing in Seymour, I just thought logic. Like Texas, they had to have people look at it, attorneys look at it. They had to have people that would say, okay, this is a winnable case and a winnable appeal with the NCAA. I don't think they just bring in somebody with the thought process that, okay, we can't win this, right? So I always felt pretty comfortable that Seymour. I always felt pretty comfortable. And I know Sark's like he doesn't want to jinx it and say certain things and piss off the NCAA, but you more than likely you get Seymour that's there. So we'll see. We'll see. Gooseby should be back in the spring at some point. The camaraderie is there. I get though. Sandman said something earlier, and he said this, and I'm like, he said 2025, maybe lose faith in any O-line evaluations, and he's saying that jokingly, but I know there's a smidge of like, yeah, but sometimes some people say a joke about, but it's like, nah, I don't really feel like you're joking. And he's joking, but he's also serious that, okay, but y'all told us that last year, right? And so there's that thought process of y'all told us that last year, and then we know what we saw. I hear you telling us about this year. It's kind of like, I think Ketch has that saying, like, don't show me the birth, show me the baby. I think that's probably where everyone's at. Like, all right, cool, y'all go through your process, but at the end of the day, I want to see the product of everything, as opposed to what you're talking about. But unfortunately, Sandman, it's February, so all we can do is talk for months and months. And it's good to see you, Tex Blonde. I was mad at you last year. I was really mad at you last year because you dipped out, and I didn't see you back until like the season started. So I'm glad that you're here in the off season. I was like, everybody disappeared. Now, but that happens. It cycles and stuff like that. So the other things that he talked about that were he talked about some of the injuries that has happened. Arch, and you go down the list, and he didn't get into specifics on because he said everyone's timetable is going to be a little bit different. But again, when it's the all season, just in general, y'all. Sark is really precautionary when it comes in the off season. Now you get into the regular season and it's go time. Sark looking at you like, man, I mean, you could attach that leg back on, can't you? Like you can play, right? But when you get here, Sark's always he's always precautionary at this stage. He's always a guy that's like, hey, better be safe than sorry. So don't be surprised and don't overreact when we get to spring ball and you hear guys are sitting out, they're not playing. Just know it'll be March at that point. No, you don't need to lose sleep. You don't need to lose sleep if we get to the first day of spring practice and Arch isn't playing. Like, don't freak out. Don't freak out. Because we know, like, all the thing that matters is that Arch is ready to go in August, more so than he's ready to go right now. So he did mention a little bit about that. Oh, he did mention that spring football, for those of y'all who want to keep something on the calendar or get something to count down to, he did mention that spring football for them will officially begin on March the 9th. So we're talking, what is that, about, a little less than 2 weeks away from the start of spring football. And that'll give us definitely a lot of conversation, a lot of things to talk about. He talked about kind of moving the calendar around for the start of spring football because of, wants to make sure that guys are good to go for finals. And so they basically kind of wrap up and then they can finish up their finals instead of it being like right in the middle of finals. He kind of joked about we're a school where everyone has to go to class, which is true. Like, look, I literally have been on campus. I've seen Arch Manning walk to class, right? I've seen all these guys going to class. Sometimes like, you see them taking them scooters. And I always think that's not a good idea. That's just, those scooters are not good ideas. But it does. I forget. There was a player a few years ago that wiped out on one of those things and kind of hurt himself. I think it may have been during the Tom Herman era, though. I think it ended up being banned. But anyway, sometimes you see him on the scooter, sometimes they're not there. But March the 9th, he did mention that. He did mention some stuff about Cam Coleman. Again, we'll unpack these things over the next couple of days, but he did mention something about that. He did mention the running backs. And by the way, I wasn't there. There's a couple of things, Sevy says certain things. He didn't talk about why they brought the spring game back. I would have loved to received an explanation on that, and no one asked him about the non-conference schedule. And I wish that would have come up. It was 50 minutes, but I get it. It's hard. It's a hard format. Actually, 50 minutes is a long time, but I would have liked to someone say, hey, coach, and Stephanie, this may be something that I ask him when I see him in a couple of weeks. Again, for those who joined the show late, I was down in Bradenton. My son had a soccer tournament down there at the IMG Academy. Him and his team, they played 4 games over 4 days. Pretty much got their asses kicked in at least two games. It was so bad. It's so bad because my son's a goalkeeper. I'm not laughing because there's 2 goalkeepers, and I'm not laughing at him. But sometimes you got to laugh from crying. And I was like, damn. You can only stop so many shots, right? And so, in any case, but it's a good experience for the kids, for them to be able to go and experience that. And then he did talk about running backs and what that dynamic kind of brings. And he talked a lot about culture. It seemed like culture was like a huge deal. Text boss said she's crapped the rib. I wiped out one time. A few years ago, I was down in Tampa's probably like 2019 or so. I think I went down there, made a bad decision, like had a couple of drinks, and I was like, oh yeah, man, I wiped out on one of those things too down in downtown Tampa. I was fine though. I bounced. I'm surprised my old ass bounced up. I didn't hit my face or anything like that. Those scooters there, those things are not good. He talked a lot about culture. And I have a tough time with the culture conversation. And I think culture is relevant, during the season and stuff. But The hard part about the culture conversation for me is, and I'm not saying culture is not important. I'm not saying the culture Wednesdays is not important. I'm not saying the things that Sark does for the openness and transparency doesn't help to a certain degree. Like, I'm not saying all that, but it's just really interesting because as much as we praise culture, we look at Parker Livingston. He was a culture guy, went into the transfer portal. Trey Wisner, he was a culture guy. He went into the transfer portal. DeAndre Moore, that was a culture guy. He went into the transfer portal. You know what I'm saying? And these were the culture examples for UT. Like, this is what we put on the pedestal. Like, these guys are the epitome of culture. And all those guys were like, yeah, man, but I'm out. So I don't know what to make of it, because at the end of the day, like, culture is cool, but the individual and what the individual wants and the individual needs, those things will ultimately probably come first. But I understand the importance of it, right? I understand it. And so he talked a lot about culture and having a lot of new players and what that's going to look like for the team going forward and how important that is. So, and it's like, okay, cool. I mean, I think it's positive, and if you guys want to do it, it's cool. I've heard like Muschamp has been really good as far as their culture. Their Wednesdays and having his open discussions, and Jaluk has been really good. I've heard all positive things about the guys. I just don't know I don't know what to do with something like that that's a little abstract. So all I can do is say it's there, it exists. If it helps, great. But at the end of the day, you can have the best culture in the world. When that transfer portal opens, y'all already know what time it is. All right, so we got more of this. All right, I'm going to tell you a real quick story. And before we get out of here. So I got caught slipping. Okay, so check. I'm going to tell you what happened. So Sunday, I'm out at my son's game, and the game starts at 11 o'clock. And it's it's a little bit chillier, but it's fine. It starts to rain. Then it became one of those like total massive Florida storms, right? But I'm out of town, so I don't really have anything. So all I'm doing, I'm just getting rained on, right? I'm just getting rained on. I'm getting drenched, right? It is what it is, right? I'm like, all right, nothing I can do at this moment. I'm taking videos. I'm here to support my son. No need to cry about it. I'm supposed to go visit some friends of mine that live up in Hudson, Florida. So I'm like, let me go to this Walmart real quick. There's got to be a Walmart here. Let me just buy a change of clothes, right? So I go buy a change of clothes. And I go back to the car and, I kind of change out. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? Let me just go back. I got another hour and 15 minutes before on this drive. I'm in Palmetto, Florida. And so I got about now, let me just use the restroom real quick. Go inside to use the restroom. I was like, man, okay, there's a Subway right here. I don't eat Subway. Several things, right? So one, I don't really go to Walmart that much. Two, I really don't do Subway. Three, when I get there, dude is like, hey man, we got a special today. Like if you get a soda, it's going to knock like $3 off your bill. And I don't drink soda. But I was like, all right, well, whatever. So I'm like, all right, to go ahead and do it. So he's handing me stuff. He's handing me a cup. I'm trying to pay. And I feel like I took everything over to where the little fountain drink machine was, right? So I try to get a little fountain drink. I'm not really going to drink it, but nonetheless, so I got all the stuff in my hand. I'm not paying attention. I left my wallet there. So I was like, I need one thing right quick, really close to the register. I said, let me get this and then we go. I'm spending way too much time at Walmart, y'all, at this point. I don't even know. And I told myself, just get something along the way. I went to go on the self-pay. I was like, oh, snap. I left my wallet back there. Went back there. Gone. They got me. Within like 2 minutes, it was gone. I'm talking about the wallet was gone. So I'm there. I'm like, okay, wait a second. I'm asking a dude who works there. He's like, nah, I didn't see anything. Of course not, right? And so And there was a couple of people sitting in the restaurant, but I'm not paying attention. But who knows? I mean, it could have been a teenager, it could have been a kid who saw. Who knows? I go back to the car. I'm looking in the car. Like maybe I dropped it somewhere. I'm in the parking lot. I'm walking all the way through the Walmart. I can't find it. I'm like, oh my gosh, they got me. They got me. And the thing is, so eventually, I start driving back to Tampa, and then I call. I'm like, okay, well, what I need is I just need a police report to say my stuff is gone, because at least I could get on the plane on Monday, which is the next day. Like, at least I could show them something. So I called the Palmetto Police Department because I'm like, I don't see nothing online. I'm driving, by the way, horrible decisions all the way around. And they tell me, hey, man, we don't have an online portal. You have to come down to the police station to file a report. I'm like, well, what in the Mayberry RFD is this? I gotta go to the station. So I went over the bridge. So then I gotta backtrack. I gotta drive back to the station, right? So I go to the station. Y'all, if I'm lying, I'm dying. So then I know I should have got an air tag, right? When I say I got caught slipping, Rodolfo. That part we are fully understood. So then, by the way, get an air tag. Learn from Unc. So I got to go to the Palmetto police station, right? And so I pick up the receiver, the telephone thing. The lady starts getting my information. There's nobody there except me. And I thought, I'm just wanting a police report. You know, you live in Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, something like that. You can't get the police for anything. You just fill out everything online unless it's a major crime. Here is different. No, they're old school. So they're like, oh, okay, our officer's going to be with you in a second. I'm like, okay. I'm thinking they're going to come out with a police report. They take me back to the damn interrogation room. I ain't never been in an interrogation room. Like the serious, like, first 48 kind of things. like tell us what happened. Dude was like, tell me what happened. And he literally had the old school, like, notepad, the pad, you know, that you flip and everything, that they write down and stuff. He was literally writing down the whole thing. I'm like, I'm doing all this. I just want a police report, right? I had to go through that. He said he's going to do this investigation. He was going to go to the Walmart, check the cameras, and dude left to go check, right? I actually followed him to see what would happen, to see if they're going to arrest somebody so I don't have to drive back to Palmetto. Anyway, long story short, he came out, nothing happened. So now I'm back in the hotel. I'm trying to download all my documents, right? I'm trying to download everything I have, find old driver's license, all this kind of stuff. By the way, if you ever get stuck, or you know of anybody who ever gets stuck, you can actually fly on a plane without ID. And what the hustle is, TSA's got this thing. It's like for $45, and you basically put in your information online. And then when you put in your information online, they're able to then, once you get to the gate, they basically you have to go to another to the side. Someone will come up there, interview you, blah blah blah, and then they'll pull up that thing. They'll see that you paid your $45, and then all that she did was like, "Oh, you paid $45." That she went through all the stuff, and she's like, "Oh, there's your passport photo. This is you." And then I got to go. I don't know what happens if you don't pay $45, but that's the hustle. So there is a thing that they can ID you. So if you ever get caught slipping, so yes, so today, I should get my new debit cards. At least maybe I should get my credit card. I don't know about my driver's license. That's the thing that pissed me off too. I'm like, man, y'all could have just taken. I had like $1.50 in there too. So I'm like, that's enough. Like, just take the money and go. Anyway, I was like, man, you could have just threw my driver's license on the ground. Like, at least I needed that. Anyway, they caught me slipping, but I was able to get back home last night. Should get all my information going soon. And but Unc's back. Uncle's back. No one took anything out of my account, so that's the good part. So it's just a major inconvenience, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been way worse. So I'm okay. So now that's what happened to Unc. That's what happened on a Monday. But I'm back today. I'll be back for the rest of the week. Hope y'all enjoyed that story. Nonetheless, go out there, live each day like it's your last, because one day it might be. One day they might catch you slipping. Make sure you don't, your wallet, all that kind of stuff, man. I was just I had so many things going in my head. Got caught slipping. But go out there and do something special for yourself. You absolutely deserve it. I mean, I can't do nothing for myself really until until I get my delivery today. But until when I do, I'm going to go out there and do something special myself. You guys go out there. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to unpack more of what happened with Steve Sarkisian and his press conference. We'll have more things, more fun stuff. We're going to enjoy our off season last week of February, y'all. So we're absolutely going to have it. We're going to go out with a bang. So anyway, what is that? What does Sandman say? It said something about it's something to thank him later about. I got to go through. What is this thing? He called spot minders make accessories you can track as well if you don't want to pay for air tags. I don't know what this is, but we're gonna be safe because we got caught. I got caught slipping. I don't want anybody else to get caught slipping. I keep an air tag in my car. I keep it hidden in my car. That's my thing anyway. Anyway, let's do it. I'll be back tomorrow. I could talk about this forever, but it's all good. All right, y'all take care.